Dr. Pandey and Dr. Tanver, I understand that you two are working in collaboration with the University of Texas at Arlington and the University of South Florida, and you're writing 6 open education resources collaboratively, and these are otherwise known as OER texts, in the area of transportation and planning, all funded by a grant. And you two are each working on producing one of the 6 OER texts now with the help of graduate students like Peyton, who's joining us today. And the project goal is a student savings of $600 per transportation student at Cal Poly and over $2,000 for all 3 of the participating university students in transportation and planning majors, both undergraduate and graduate courses. Dr. Pandey, as the principal investigator for the grant here at Cal Poly, can you speak to how Cal Poly has become involved in this project-based collaboration with the University of Texas at Arlington and the University of South Florida?
Thank you. We collaborate with these institutions as part of a University Transportation Center consortium. The consortium is named CTED, which is Center for Transportation Equity, Decisions, and Dollars. And we collaborate on a variety of transportation research and education grants. I had informally noted to my CTED colleagues about a plan to open up access to transportation engineering and planning to students from non-engineering background in undergraduate level. And they also knew Cal Poly has a focus on student learning. So when this grant opportunity came along from US Department of Education, the lead institution, University of Texas Arlington, asked us to partner with them. And we were able to write this proposal for the Department of Education that included both of our books for Dr. Shams and myself.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey. So this is a question for both yourself and Dr. Tanver. How will these open education resource texts support student scholarship in the planning and transportation field specifically?
Thanks, Anne. As part of this project, I have been writing an OER book on the topic of sustainable mobility. The topic of sustainable mobility is an emerging and evolving field within transportation engineering and planning. And most available resources on this topic are spread around multiple textbooks and newly published reports. So what our OER text does, it compiled all those resources in a single location, and that provided the students an opportunity to save hundreds of dollars on textbook costs.
And if I could add to that, so for example, what Shams is doing is admirable from a sustainable mobility addition to the curriculum. And what I've been doing is trying to bring in new crop of students to the transportation engineering and planning profession. Folks who might not have background in engineering could take the assembled resources out part of the book on mathematics, on statistics, and on economics, for example, and find all those resources in one space so that they are prepared for the transportation engineering curriculum that they might face at the graduate level, and thus, bringing in new fresh blood to our profession, so to speak.
Yeah, that sounds fabulous. My next question for the two of you is, how has the collaboration between the 3 colleges strengthened your perspectives on OER?
So I think one thing that has been a big advantage is that we've been able to engage a variety of stakeholders through connection from all 3 universities because we have slightly different focus. So they're able to bring in participants more from the planning realm. We are able to bring in folks from Caltrans, for example, who are more traditional engineers. So that has allowed us to learn so much. And we are still learning about how to develop OER resources. We have gotten some tremendous response from national organizations such as the Training and Education Committee of the Transportation Research Board, who want us to do a workshop on OER next year in Washington, D.C., based on the work that we are doing. And I'm also learning that, a lot of folks, you probably live in OER ecosystem, right? But there are a lot of folks who are still unaware of this movement and are pleasantly surprised by what the movement has to offer. So this is something that, that has been really, really rewarding from this collaboration.
Yeah, if I may add to this, for example, the particular book that I'm writing on sustainable mobility, the whole topic of transportation decarbonization and greenhouse gas mitigation touches on so many different sub areas, including from active transportation to connected and automated vehicle to transportation electrification. And this wide range of topics, we could only cover it by collaborating with our colleagues at those other institutions. And we also have a very strong advisory board who are giving us feedbacks on what needs to be included in those curriculum so that it's kind of relevant and more appropriate for the graduating students. So all in all, this whole collaboration and the joint effort has been really beneficial for all three of our institutes.
Okay, thank you for that. That is really exciting information and fantastic work. So now I'm going to switch over to Peyton. Peyton, I would like to know what your initial knowledge of OER resources was before you started the project, and maybe how it's changed.
Yeah, so I honestly did not know about open education resources. So like Dr. Pandey, I'm excited to get on this movement of it. Textbook purchases have always been a bummer at the beginning of each term. And it was great to hear that this resource is available and Cal Poly is making an effort to utilize free or lower cost materials. And prior to starting the research position, I had to get certification for OER that ensured I had a good understanding of it. And the most interesting and great thing, in my opinion, that I learned from that was how people can reuse the material and create off of it, which is what I'm doing a lot of for my research of the textbook.
Okay, that's great. And I'm wondering if, because of your work on the project, something maybe has been transformed for you while you were doing this that's specific to your master's program.
Yeah, so this opportunity has provided me with a different way of learning and thinking. So since the target audience for the textbook I'm working on coming from a planning background and entering the engineering world, I have to think back what would have helped me most while first starting. So for example, I'm in a highway geometrics and design course right now, and it's honestly been a bit of a struggle getting back into math. So from this class and my future classes, I will note my struggles and then create this textbook with those in mind to help people in the future, just like me.
Okay, thank you, Peyton. So in closing, Dr. Pandey, what positive impact do you think this collaborative project, funded in partnership with the Department of Education Office of Post-Secondary Education, will have for the future of your industry?
First of all, we'll be able to bring in students like Peyton who are very good, but have these wall of prerequisites to jump through before they can get into engineering program and start their resources. They have to take maybe 4 or 5 different prerequisites courses at this point. But I think if we had one OER resource that they could go through and we could condense all the relevant work into one course or one textbook, I think that will remove barriers for students like Peyton to do that. In addition, we are creating awareness. We are learning ourselves about OER movement and how the OER resources can be created. And one thing that I'm really excited about at this point is that in our whole of transportation curriculum, there is only one required textbook that is not freely available to the students, and that is for our required transportation engineering course in civil engineering. That's CE 321. And as part of this outreach from this project, I'm hoping that my peers at other institutions will be able to collaboratively create an OER for that fundamentals course so that we can replace even that textbook into a free OER resource at multiple institutions at the same time. So that way we'll have the maximum impact with what we are learning from this project. And another point I want to make here is that as we strive to make sustainability a bigger focus of our curriculum, we want to attract folks who have traditionally been left out of our profession. These traditionally underrepresented groups might appreciate the free and low-cost resources more than the population we have traditionally catered to in civil engineering, who are more affluent, but now we are bringing in folks who might not be as affluent, and they really need these low-cost resources to succeed. So that, I think, will be another way we'll be able to make maximum impact.
Excellent. And I want to thank all 3 of you for allowing me to do this interview with you. And your work is so exciting, and especially the collaborative efforts that you have for the 3 universities. So I look forward to talking to you all again and seeing the process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.